Hey everybody, today we're going to look at how to hold sticks. So whether you're someone who's just starting out with drums or you're a teacher looking for ways to help your students, you've come to the right place. Holding drumsticks is pretty straight ahead, but I'm going to show you 5 tips and checkpoints to help that journey be a little easier. All right, so the first one is, where are you going to hold it with your hand? And I tell my students, and if you're my student, this is what I'm telling you, hold it with the fleshy part of your thumb and the first joint of your first finger, like that. Those back 3 fingers are just there for support. They're not really there for the grip. And how you can determine if you're actually holding the stick between your first finger and your thumb is every now and then when you're playing, take off those back 3 fingers. And if your stick drops out of your hand, you're probably using those back 3 fingers more than you would like to in the grip. All right, that's the first tip. The second tip is probably the most important because it's about having a relaxed hand. And when you're playing, you really want to aim to have a relaxed body, relaxed shoulders, arms, fingers, wrists. Easier said than done, right? But one thing I find useful to tell my students is, when you're playing, try to have a space between your thumb and your first finger. And you could try the difference with that and then not having a space. And you might find that not having a space feels tighter to you. And then by allowing a little bit of space there, you're a little bit more relaxed. Okay, so that's tip 2. The third tip is, where on the stick are you going to hold it? Now, every stick has a different balance, and you're going to want to play around with this. I've never seen a student hold the sticks too high up. Maybe that happens. I've sometimes seen students start with holding the sticks really far back. And for me, that creates a really strange balance, and I think it might affect your playing. The rule of thumb I start with my students, and again, you're going to want to experiment for yourself, is to aim to have about 1 inch from the bottom, 1 inch of space. All right, once you've decided where you're going to hold your sticks, however, you want to have your sticks matching, because if one stick is higher up or lower down, it'll probably create an imbalance of sound. And how you can check for that is, as you're playing, let's say there's a pause in your piece or you're just playing by yourself, you can stop and then bring your hands over. Bring the tips together. And if your thumbs are aligned, great. And if one has come up or come down, then just bring it back so that they're aligned. All right, so tips together. Hopefully your drumsticks are the same length. And then make sure that your thumbs are together. I still do this when I'm playing. Every now and then I'll just check and to make sure that they're together. All right, the 4th tip is, when you are playing on the drum, aim to have the back of your hand facing towards the ceiling and your palm down. I don't usually see students rotating in, but sometimes I see my students bringing out their hands like this, so your thumb is facing up. And I would say just gently bring it so that your hand, the back of your hand, is facing towards the ceiling. And finally, when you're starting to play, I tell my students, put the tips of your sticks in a triangle position on the drum, and hopefully what that will do for you is create a bit of space here between your arm and the side of your body, so that you're not doing something like this, where you're really tensed up, where you're bringing your elbows in and they're lying on your hips. I've actually seen this happen. So again, you want to have a bit of space right here. All right. Something I like to emphasize before I review those tips is there are a lot of different ways to hold sticks. And for example, this is the match grip. There is the traditional grip. There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different approaches. These are just some tips that I hope you find useful as you're going towards your drum life. So feel free to ask some questions or some comments, and let's just review quickly those tips. So the first tip was holding your stick between the fleshy part of your thumb and your index finger. Second tip, aim to have a bit of space between your thumb and your index finger. Third tip, wherever you decide to hold your sticks, make sure that they are the same place between the sticks. When you're playing, you're aiming to have the back of your hand facing towards the ceiling, palms down, and then playing with a triangle position so you've got a bit of space right here. All right, I hope those tips were helpful, and those checkpoints will be helpful as you're aiming to keep a relaxed body and a relaxed wrist as you're playing. In the next video, we're going to look at where to play on the drum. So see you there.